Greetings. It is Monday, June the 22nd, in the infamous year of 2026. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Monday Morning Report. Well, I'm not surprised. Are you? Iran says that the Straits of Hormuz are closed again. Apparently, they didn't like parts of the deal, or part of their regime didn't like it. The Israelis are hitting Hezbollah in Lebanon again, and the Iranians don't like that, and more of the same old, same old. Chaos reigns in Iran. And this is a clear indication of what a lot of us have figured out, is that there is no one central government in Iran. There are many factions, they're fighting with each other, they're angry with each other, and they're killing each other, apparently, in some places. Whether or not the general population can rise up in an organized fashion to overthrow them at this point is a big question mark. But you never know. At the very least, this is demonstrating that the Iranians can't be trusted, even though it's technically a ceasefire. Is it? Trump is angry. Everybody's pissed off. Well, you cannot negotiate with religious fanatical monsters that are bent on the end of the world happening and they being ascendant into heaven with a bunch of virgins, which may or may not be goats. Okay, there's another thing I do want to point out that I didn't point out last week intentionally because I thought it might interfere if it got out that some of us had figured out what Section 11 in the Memo of Understanding was really referring to. And that was room for the people running Iran to be paid off and allowed to run. Let me read you part of Section 11. This is referring to the U.S. paying money that's owed the Islamic Republic of Iran's central bank. Let me tell you what it says here. Such funds, whether retained in the original amount or transferred, shall be made fully usable for payment to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Why not just give them the money and they could send it to wherever it has to go? Why? Because what would happen is, if the deal goes through, it leaves room for a long list of names and Swiss bank account numbers or Cayman bank account numbers or Channel Island bank account numbers or something like that. This is how you really get rid of people. You pay them. Nothing is more effective than a CIA agent with a suitcase full of money and a bunch of fake passports and tickets to new locations with new identities. This is a way of telling the Iranians very directly that if the Islamic Republic of Iran says that we have to send this money, and I thought all their money was released with Biden and Obama, but money has to be sent to people the central bank designates, we'll do it. That's payoff, guys. That's how you do it. That's also why in Northern Virginia, you go to some of the suburbs and you'll see people from obviously foreign countries dressed to the nines, driving Mercedes or BMWs, acting like jerks. And the supermarkets or restaurants, and you wonder how they got that way. And I don't think they worked it. I think that they were retired into those positions. Northern Virginia is famous for that. And, you wonder where they came from and how many bodies they left behind buried in the dust of their homeland. Anyways, that may or may not happen. I hope it does, though, because the straits are open, they're not open. Who really decides if the Straits of Hormuz are open are the insurance companies. So Trump might go back to bombing Iran again, and this will be continuing and continuing and continuing, which you really can't predict the outcome at this point. But the only way this is going to end, the only way, is if the regime in Tehran or the regime components in Tehran is eliminated, if the Islamic Republic is no more. The Israelis and their American surrogates will not accept any other outcome. I promise you that. The Israelis are not going to allow the Islamic Republic of Iran to exist any longer. They wouldn't have gotten into this war for any other reason, and they're not going to give up now. They just won't. Now on to other political news on the other side of the pond. He's a knight. Well, that's not interesting. Keir Starmer has resigned as once Great Britain's Prime Minister. Although he probably won't be leaving office until September, the man could still do a lot of damage between now and then, and who knows what sort of creature is going to crawl out of the shadows and take his place. That man has a lot of blood on his hands. He has the death of the nation on his hands. Well, so does the royal family of Great Britain, too, but that's another matter. I don't know what to think of that fellow. If I was British, I would be either in prison or on the run. I could not tolerate a country that has that much treason at the highest levels. It's unbelievable, but it's also testament to the fact that the British people, the English, the Scots, and the Welsh, and the Northern Irish, they've tolerated this. Why? You know, how many, 250,000 young girls were brutalized by invaders of the same kinds that your ancestors fought and died to prevent coming into Europe? We've already talked about this. Anyway, Starmer's on his way out. Will he be punished for all of the things he presided over? Probably not. He's part of the elite. The elite that think what they do and their decisions are good for all of us, even though if we ever met any of them face to face, I doubt we'd be very impressed with them as human beings, let alone leaders. Oh, and speaking of the elite, in Virginia, here in the Commonwealth, the countdown to a brutal gun control implementation continues. As of July 1st, many types of weapons will be banned. You can't buy them or transport them. A lot of gun shops are going out of business. People are buying weapons left and right because they want them. And I think now it's not just having them. I think that people are exceedingly angry, and weapons and anger are not a good mix. But a full-blown rebellion is underway, and this is something not being touched by the mainstream media, the legacy media, the treasonous media, because, well, it's a bad sign. Several counties in the Commonwealth, and counties have an awful lot of autonomy in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Remember, Virginia was put together like a country. Every county is almost like a state in and of itself. Well, they've announced, several, that they're not going to enforce these laws. The public attorneys say they're not going to enforce these laws. They're crazy. They're unconstitutional. They're against the Constitution of Virginia. Now, according to Gun Owners of America, they include Appomattox County, Goochland County, Smith County. Ones near Washington, D.C. are Spotsylvania County, Warren County, and there's also Pulaski County elsewhere in Scott. I'm told that the number is about 18, but I wasn't able to get a concise list because some of it's being talked about and some of it's being put on the record. But when you have local elected officials saying they will not enforce laws that were passed and signed by the governor, that is something. Now, how that will go, I don't know. What are police going to do? They're going to arrest somebody with an AR-15 in their car on their way to a gun range to shoot it? Technically, that would be against the law the way I understand it. What's going to happen then? The Supreme Court might chime in and do something, but it isn't going to go well. The Virginia governess, Abigail Spanberger, is doing everything she can to enslave the good citizens of the Commonwealth, and not just with firearms, but with all sorts of insane regulations. This is Ms. Woke. And actually, if the Republicans win in the autumn, it'll be because of people like her. Let me tell you what I'm really worried about. If law enforcement comes in and tries to implement some of these insane gun laws on the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong place, somebody being armed or both sides being armed, that could go badly, and it's needless, and it's tragic, and it's wrong. And all of it because of this insane, liberal, democratic, Marxist filth that has taken hold in our land and is rotting it. You see, it's not just firearms that this administration and the Commonwealth are big on. They're big on hating white people. This is something that was mentioned earlier in the year and is not being talked about. But if the Virginia government wants to put out a bid on something that's going to cost $200,000 or less, like painting police cars or fixing up a park or something like that, any contract below $200,000 cannot go to white people. You heard that right. So if you're a white man and you could do a real good deal painting a police car or fixing its tires or building a kennel for dogs or something like that, and you're white, forget it. You're not going to get the job. That's happening now, people. That's happening now. That's what's being done. And now they want to take the weapons away. This is a woman that worked for the CIA. They're not big on democracy. They're not big on the will of people, if you really are honest about it. The Civil War is here. Maybe there's not large armies marching and shooting at each other, but the Civil War is already here. And it's here because of the governors of not just Virginia, but California, other states. Illinois is another one. These are people that are totally against American culture and civilization, and they're all part of the global elite. They're in league with people like Starmer in the UK or others around the world that do not want to see a future of the kind that Americans envisioned when they created this country and is the birthright of everyone who is here. I'm sorry, this is just a little too much for me to take on a Monday morning, and this is going to get nasty. It's about a week or so from now. 2 weeks from now, somebody is going to be a first test case. Somebody is going to get arrested with these crazy laws. I hope it doesn't go violent. But rebellion is in the air right now. Let's hope it just stays in the air and doesn't go any place where it could do some real harm. Now, I'm going to leave you with another AI-related story, and this is also about how the elites are at war with us. Has anyone noticed the new high-tech price tags at supermarkets, department stores, and other retailers lately, the ones where you have to scan to get a price? Or if you see a price of something, it's in an LED readout, and you take it off the shelf and you bring it to the front, and from the time you take it off the shelf and bring it to the front, the price changes a little bit. Now, I've seen that happen. I thought it was because I had been forgetting something, but I've been reading and I'm hearing reports now that these new systems are designed to change prices based on supply and demand in the supermarket or in the department store or whatever. I'm not going to name any of the retailers, but they're the usual suspects, shall we say. Gasoline is through the ceiling, even though the Straits of Hormuz, not a single drop of oil goes through there that Americans are consuming. It's speculation. Food prices going through the ceiling, not because they haven't already been harvested, but it's speculation. And now they're doing speculation when you want to go off and buy T-shirts and underwear or hot dog buns and breakfast cereal. Of course, AI makes this possible. In Northern Virginia, where we also have what appears to be more data centers popping up than one would imagine, popping up on ancient farmland that was settled back about 400 years ago, they're out to enslave us, people. They're out to enslave us even more so than was otherwise the case. And we can't take this anymore. We really can't. I was livid when I heard about this because as I said, I've been to stores and I've picked things up, and when I go to the cash register, it's a few dollars more, and I didn't really understand why. And like most people, I don't look at the receipt so much. I just have to get back to the car and back to my life. So right now, you should be very vigilant about where and when you buy things. Prices are changing. They're not static. I've heard of when people want to buy something online, they put it in their in-basket or something, and they leave it there for a few days. The price might go down, but sometimes it goes up. Oh, it's going up. You better get it now while you can. This level of manipulation is quite simply inhuman. It's not free enterprise. It's not even capitalism as defined by Karl Marx. It's something else, and it's not good. As the United States prepares to celebrate its 250th year of existence, there should be a battle cry that we take back what is ours, take back our birthright. Generations of men and women who came before us, who worked hard, endured, suffered, and in many cases died, to give us the country we have today. It's time we take back this country, ladies and gentlemen. Let's honor those who came before us. As we celebrate 250 years, let's make sure we have something to celebrate next year. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends and share with your enemies. And remember, enemies must be hunted down and destroyed without mercy and without hesitation. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My handle there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, clown world, the deep state, and artificial intelligence must be destroyed. Good day.